Hey, Darksiders 1 was the biggest success of the history of my channel so far. So following your advice in the comments and being smart with content, I didn't lose any time, and since I know how to capitalize on a hit, I started working on the sequel. Yep, always the best decisions here. Anyway, it doesn't really matter now because it's here, so enjoy the video. We start with a monologue summarizing the things we already know, going from the charred console, the balance of the universe being broken, and Earth being destroyed by the Destroyer and his demons. Oh, and some say that the apocalypse and the destruction of mankind was triggered by war in the first game. After that, the game comes with a question. What about the other three horsemen? Fury, Strife, and Death. To answer that question, first, we need to learn about the Nephilim, born from the union of angel and demon. The Nephilim were great warriors and inflicted great damage to the other realms. We read that they would disturb the balance. 4 amongst them would serve the charred console in exchange for unimaginable power to purge their own kind from creation, the 4 horsemen. Now that we know a bit more about their origin, while War is trying to prove his innocence to the console, let's talk about Death, who wants nothing more than to save his brother. The game opens up to a glacial landscape and tells us that Death is looking to bargain for War's freedom by resurrecting humanity. Before we keep going, I just want to clarify, the events of Darksiders 2 happened during Darksiders 1's storyline, about 20 years after the apocalypse and 80 years before the end of the first game. Okay, now that it's a bit more clear, let's keep going. Death's first stop in his quest would be the Keeper of Secrets Lair in the Icy Veil. That's it for the intro, we can finally get into it, but much more lore is coming real soon. Death's horse, Despair, is available from the start and will be pretty convenient to go from place to place. After a quick tutorial, we learn to fight and discover the more RPG vibe they gave to this game by adding equipment and loot like boots, gloves, chest plates, talismans, and pauldrons, as well as 2 types of weapons, scythes and secondary. We enter the Dark Fortress and get introduced to basic parkour while getting rid of the enemies on the way. I get a hammer and I really enjoy it. Bye! We get our first boss fight against the Ice Giant. Nothing difficult obviously, but fun nonetheless as we get a sneak peek of a Reaper form. Up the elevator we go, we finally reach our objective. As we ask for help, the Keeper of Secrets says he regrets helping Death in the past. The Keeper of Secrets, also known as the Crowfather, seems to know everything about Death's venue and War's situation. The Crowfather seems to know a way to bring humans back with the Tree of Life and will help Death, but he needs to take something back. Basically, in exchange for its secrets, the Crowfather agreed to keep the amulet containing the souls of the Nephilim. But endless voices make him regret his choice, so he wants it destroyed. Death says he can't, and a fight ensues. The Keeper of Secrets turns into a clone of War, but he's definitely no match for us. However, the amulet gets damaged in the fight, and the souls it contained lodge themselves into Death's flesh. The next cutscene introduces the countless worlds existing in the universe. Many of them, ravaged by time or conflict, are doomed to return to the abyss, but others linger for eternity on the brink of annihilation. After the battle, Death was banished to one of such worlds. We are woken up by a giant bearded man. When we ask about the Tree of Life, he answers that this place is filled with corruption, not life, and the tree will perish soon with everything and everyone around it. We then get interrupted by said corruption, and once we get rid of the bad guys, we're advised to look for the Force Sister and talk to her about the fire of the mountain. She will help Death reach the Tree of Life. The old man reveals he's a maker by the name of Adart, older than the charred console itself. His hands have laid the foundation of many worlds, but this was a long time ago. Oh, also, the tree holds the power of life and death, but it's corrupted, so careful I guess. We spend our first skill point into the Harbinger tree and get to it. After a short hike, we make it to Tristone, the hub for this world I guess. We meet with another maker, Thane, who tells us this world and its last few inhabitants will disappear soon. Oh, you can't fight corruption by the way. We can buy skills from this guy with in-game currency, but for now we're too broke. We can also try to fight him, but he's way over-leveled. We continue and meet with Moria, the shaman. She sells talismans and explains what corruption is. Hate. It's basically hate. Oh, and we can't reach the tree because of it. She gives us a pauldron, but we have to reach level 5 before equipping it. She also entrusts us with a side quest. Bring her a few ingredients from enemies to craft a powerful talisman. It's finally time to meet with the Force Sister, Alia. She introduces herself and her brother Valius, as well as puts a name on this place. She says the Maker's Forge she works at once crafted the Dark Towers of Hell and the Cities of Heaven, but it's been out of order since corruption got to it. The fire of the mountain also known as the Stonefather blood, as well as his tears, need to flow once again to act as the heart and the soul of stone. She says we can't leave this place to reach the tree without reactivating the forge to build a maker's key and activating Colossus to fight the corruption. Got all that? Well, that's the plan. First, we need to go to the Cauldron, a temple located in the shadow of Stonefather's Peak, to free the fire of the mountain from corruption. It might be a lot to take in, but now that we have a better idea of what's going on, let's get to it. Time for action. We witness the path to the tree, indeed blocked by a giant eye of corruption, and right east towards the Stonefather's Peak. On the way, we are met with a little optional dungeon that I do real quick. I fight a stalker and get a couple nice pieces of equipment there. Further down the road, a familiar face, Vulgrim, appears before us. He sells random artifacts and secondary weapons of different rarities. It's also the only shop where we can use another currency. He also lets us know about collectibles we can find in this game, the pages from the Book of the Dead. Every 10 pages unlock a chapter, along with a special key to unlock a death tomb. Inside, you can find treasure chest and a special unique item. Back to main quest, we keep riding east. After a long trip, it looks like we arrive just in time to help a maker fight off some corrupted constructs. It's Karn. We tell him we're here for the Cauldron, and he gives us a secondary quest. Just bring back his platter that he left in there. Apparently, he's here for the exact same reason as Death, but he couldn't find a way in. I don't really get that part since, well, we take the front door in. Okay, so for this first dungeon, the inactive Cauldron lies in the main hall, and we're going to run around the place to rekindle it once more. Like I said, this is the first dungeon, and the puzzle slash parkour slash combat is pretty straightforward. Throw bombs at switches, climb, get rid of enemies, nothing really special, but it all works well in this forge atmosphere. Later on, we discover the magic balls and how to turn on switches by rolling them. Of course, on the path, I find some chests and upgrade my equipment, but it happens a lot, so I won't go over it too much. As we keep making progress, we face a tiny parkour puzzle and find Karn's platter. Boss time. Gorn. Yeah, they didn't really think that one over much. Death styles on him, and we're rewarded with the Dark Avenger, the first legendary weapon. According to the lore, this weapon once belonged to the human warrior known as Draven. Okay, can't equip it though, I need to level up. I can now do what I came to do, and take the lid of the Cauldron. First dungeon, check. I gave Karn his platter back and fast travel back to Tristone. Step 1 is completed, but we still have to restore the tears. For motivation, Alia gifts us a gun. Redemption. Apparently this one belongs to Death's brother, Strife. I'm also going to sell pretty much everything I don't have equipped, because we're going to loot a lot. And the money we'll get from that will turn out to be very useful to buy fighting skills from Thane. We start by taking the same route we took for the Cauldron, but this time, head west. Karn is already here, and he gives me some info on the Stonefather's tears. He quickly mentions Ulthane, our maker friend from the first game, and offers us another side quest, find an armor in the Drenchfort. The next dungeon. Okay, so basically, sorta like the first game, Darksiders 2 is a succession of dungeons getting harder and harder and requiring to use new mechanics every time. Very similar to a Zelda game. I make a quick detour by the Shattered Forge, a shorter optional dungeon, and get my hands on Splinterbone, Valius's hammer. Basically, this opens up the shop in Tristone, and it's pretty useless honestly. Oh well, it wasn't so long, and at least it was fun. Where were we? Ah yes, the Drenchfort. In order to reach it, we first need to go through the fjord. This is where we encounter another collectibles mechanic that I totally didn't ignore for the whole game. Blackroot here wants us to shoot the little shiny pebbles, called lore stones, that we see in the world to feed him. Sounds fun. Anyway, every time we bring Blackroot any combination of 3 lure stones, we get a permanent bonus to a stat. Moving on. Finally, the Drenchfort. The Cauldron was themed around fire, so this one, you guessed it, water. And yeah, all the mechanics you can find in a water type dungeon. Again, main hall is super important. It looks like Death will need to release the water trapped in each wings of this place to open up the way towards our objective. I spent a while exploring and trying to figure out the way, because the place basically evolves each time some water makes it to the main hall. This place is filled with flying enemies. Now that we have the gun, we can appropriately deal with them, and we unlock the Reaper form for Death. It's basically War's Chaos form, but cooler I guess. Another new type of enemy appear, the Crag, some kind of spider crab. As we're exploring the west wing, we find a piece of Karn's armor and solve a few puzzles involving bombs and balls. Oh, and lots of fighting of course. Death can stick a bomb to a ball, then pop it with his gun to move it forward. A couple fights later, the first valve is open. We can just surf it back to the main hall and witness the water level go up. To check the other wing, we take the now underwater tunnel to access the new part of the dungeon. Lots of cool fighting ensues, as well as more puzzles involving water. Here Here Death will have to redirect the flow so the water reaches the doors and the main hall. This part is mostly parkour. All of it is very smooth with a couple ball puzzles. Anyway, second valve is open. After some fiddling with doors and dams, back to the main hall we go. The way is open. With the water like this, we can cross to the Drenchfort's heart. Second boss is a bit more serious than Garn. Introducing Karkinos. It's an oversized crag. He dashes towards Death and hits the wall, spawning adds, but also eggs, I guess, that you can force push towards him before aiming for his weak spots on his belly. It's pretty easy, but there's an attack I couldn't figure out how to dodge, and the adds are annoying as hell. We get a gruesome finish from Death Reperform and obtain the Masher of Karkinos, another legendary weapon. One last final lever opens up the floodgates, and voila, our job here is done. Back in Tristone, my buddies have moved to the Maker's Forge, and they just finished forging the Maker's Key. If you forgot, we needed this to awaken the Guardian and clear up the way towards the tree. Problem though, we learned that the Guardian was never completed, but there's another smaller construct who could help us. Oh, and he's free from corruption. Our next objective consists of finding him so he can guide us to the Foundry. There, I can activate the Guardian with the key. All caught up? Good, let's go. Our next destination is the Lost Temple, located in northeast. Our progress is quickly interrupted by a little dungeon required to keep going, where we learn how to use friendly constructs. We can activate them with the Maker's Key, then ride them and shoot chains into special targets. And they move thanks to a ball that can also activate stuff. Anyway, we can use these chains to pass through obstacles and go forward. This place isn't super interesting. It's a lot of parkour and fights. At some point, we make it to the depth and cross path with a hellish creature, but it's okay, it's friendly. Anyway, we solve a puzzle involving balls and elevators, then find the exit and get back to looking for the Lost Temple. Karn is already here. Again, he gives us a little description of the place before entrusting us with finding his compass. This third main quest dungeon is heavily relying on constructs. We also meet these corruption masked enemies that we caught a glimpse of before. Most of puzzles here require us to find a way to guide some friendly constructs here and there to clear the path for death. Sometimes we'll even use them to fight, and let's just say they're very efficient. After a while, we climb up the chain and access the second part of the temple, where things get serious. Time for a real fight. 6 masks attack us, one by one. They have a shield that makes them invincible, and they summon waves of corrupted construct to stop death, but they have really low HP. The trick is to just wait until the shield goes off and shoot them with the gun. The constructs get bigger and bigger, but we manage to take them all down. We keep going, find the compass for Karn, and then take on some more puzzles involving friendly constructs. These were pretty fun. Lots of fighting, we are closing in on the objective, but first, it's boss time. The construct's Hulk stands between death and his goal. This fight kinda reminds me of the fight against Tiamat in the Twilight Cathedral of Darksiders 1. We need to pick up bombs on the floor and throw them towards him. Only then we can access his weak spot and do damage. Don't get hit though. He hits like a truck, and it's very easy to get pinned against the wall of the arena. The main difficulty, again, comes from the annoying adds. If they hit you while you carry a bomb, it explodes in your face and you have to do it again. So try to manage the adds to have a shot at throwing a bomb to the boss. Another difficulty comes from the game crashing, but oh well. Anyway, we get another graphic execute from the Reaper and get rewarded with yet another legendary weapon, the Skeletal Axe of Rending. I enjoy the fact that we keep switching weapons. It definitely gives off a fresh vibe every time. We wake our stone friend up and let him know of the situation. He agrees to help. We then climb on his back and enjoy a ride back to the Veil. Back to Tristone again. Adard explains that the Tree of Life is a gateway that connects all the realms. It's not where the journey ends, but where it all begins. We chat with our new stone friend and gather some info on the Foundry and the Warden. He then yells at the bridge and we can now cross to reach the next dungeon. It's right behind Tristone, so we get there quick. This place looks like the inside of Blackrock Mountain in World of Warcraft a lot. Karn is following along and helps Death by tossing him around. We do some magmatic parkour and fight corrupted constructs in the giant halls. Basically, we will need to progress and open doors for Karn in order to move forward. Not much time later, we make it to the main room and find the Guardian asleep. If we want him to destroy the corruption blocking the tree, we need to find a way to wake him up. In short, to do so, we'll have to gather the 3 essence of a Maker's Heart, or Heartstones. Conveniently, I should be able to find all 3 in this temple, so we will explore each wing of the Foundry to bring them back to the entrance. We'll do some swimming, parkour, fighting, and puzzles. So far, this place is pretty standard, with no new exclusive mechanics, except for Karn holding doors for us, I guess, until we find the Death Grip, a new item that works like a grappling hook. We can swing over pits, grab stuff, and get some extra help when climbing. After some more shenanigans, we end up face to face with the first Heartstone. We use a construct to make it through lava and bring the stone down. Good thing Karn is here. He picks it up, and now we just have to get back after a quick elevator fight. 1 stone down, 2 to go. This place is mostly puzzles, and some of them were pretty clever. The second stone is ours. Almost there. I really enjoyed how this dungeon is planned out. The devs made it so the journey back with the stone is a bit different from where we first came. It's a nice touch. Anyways, let's keep going into the last wing. We get rid of a lot of corruption crystals around this part and find the stone almost instantly and go around running on walls and grabbing ledges to make it fall down so we can grab it. Something's off though. For some reason this one's green. Oh well, I'm sure it doesn't mean anything bad or corruption related. On the way out, we have to find the corrupted custodian. Just avoid a spinning attack and you'll be fine. Defeating this guy rewards us with the evade counter. If Death makes a dodge right on time, we can strike a counter attack with the Reaper form. Okay, what happens now with this green third stone? The Guardian wakes up and of course he's not friendly. He climbs out of here and runs away. Just like that, we rush outside back to Tristone. The place has been trampled and fire breaks out here and there, so we keep going further. Thane says we should head to the plains outside the city. Adard is already there, waiting for us. He gets hurt pretty bad, so we decide to take it from here. This is literally Shadow of the Colossus. Shoot the bombs on his arm, then go for the stone. A couple times should get rid of the right arm. Next, he's going to shoot a homing grinder. This part is a bit tricky and took me a couple tries to figure out. I thought I was just supposed to guide it back to the boss to hurt it, but then I realized I first needed to shoot it for this strategy to work. Once he's kneeled down, grab onto his face stone and hit it. Again, do this twice. Death finishes the foe with another badass cutscene. Now that the Guardian is supposedly free of any corruption, Adard wants to bring it back. I guess that makes sense? Why didn't you just start by doing that in Foundry? In this dramatic sequence, Adard sacrifices himself to power up the new Guardian. Oh, I guess that's why he didn't start with that. The Guardian headbutts the corruption and the path is cleared. The Tree of Life, finally. Death gets sucked inside the giant doors.
And so you have come, bearing your sin like a badge of honor. What do you seek, Pale Rider?
The return of mankind.
Oh, humans are weak and simple. They would not survive this resurrection, nor do they deserve it.
That is not ours to judge. I do this to spare war from the Council's punishment.
And what of the Nephilim? Would you save but one and not the rest?
The Nephilim are a threat to the balance.
If we had taken Eden, none of this would have happened. Yet you rode against us, slaughtered our flesh, then bound our souls in your amulet.
Who are you?
I think you know. Once, you called me brother.
Absalom.
I have forsaken that name. Now, I am corruption. The day you raised your scythe against us, I was born, and soon I will be all. The Tree of Life has fallen to my darkness, from withered root to fruitless limb, and even death himself will not escape it.
What defines a soul? Some call it the spark within that fights the darkness, that burns for life itself. But what of Death, who became the Reaper on the day he slaughtered the Nephilim? He killed his brother, his comrades, and Absalom.
Death! Why do you slay your own?
The Nephilim have no claim to Eden.
There are realms for angels and demons. Why not for us?
Eden belongs to man.
It belongs to those who take it!
The eons have not answered the question. Was it worth it?
Brother.
That one moment. Begot corruption. And crowned him Kinslayer. The bitter victory could not be undone.
We know now of Death's past and of Absalom, or should I say, corruption. We are now standing at the root of the Tree of Death in the Dead Kingdom. Well, that's original. We made a goat dude there, Ostegoth. He tells us that the tree isn't a destination but a gateway to other worlds. He says that if the tree brought death here, it's for a reason. He adds that what we're already looking for to resurrect humanity and save war is the Well of Souls. The well channels the dead into this kingdom from every world and is also capable of bringing them back into creation. He tells Death that a lot of this was kept from the Nephilim because power must be tempered with ignorance. It would have been too dangerous. The portals around here are all closed except the one back to the Forge Lands, so we can go back if we need to. Ostegoth lets us know of what we must do next. Scale the Serpent's Peak and summon the Eternal Throne. There the Lord of Bones slumber, whatever that means. He'll guide us to the well. Oh, also he asks us to find relics around, yet another type of collectibles. So without much more info, we're off into this new desolate land. I ride towards the objective on the map and enter a place called Breach. This place is an introduction to the Kingdom of the Dead. Without much new mechanics, but I can tell that difficulty has been increased not only for battles, but the puzzles require a bit more thinking, I guess. Thankfully this dungeon is very short and I'm already back outside in the main hub. I ride west and finally reach Serpent's Peak. We ring the bell and seconds later appears one of the coolest ships I've ever seen. Death has to find a path all the way towards the bridge without falling to oblivion. Again, this goes pretty fast and we're here. The Eternal Throne. This place is basically Tristone but for World 2. We meet with the Master of Blades, Draven. You remember from that early game weapon? He serves the same purpose as Thane, teaching us weapon mastery for money. As we try to talk to the Lord of Bones, the guards stop us. No one disturbs the Lord of Bones without say of the Chancellor. Conveniently, he appears next. He tells us that we won't be able to talk to the Lord of Bones, except maybe if we win the gauntlet of the Gilded Arena. If we defeat the arena champion and return with his skull, he will grant me an audience. The way to the arena is short and we're introduced to the laser statue mechanic. We're greeted by giant skeleton statues. Death calls out the champion, but you guessed it, it's not going to be so easy. The altar we're facing holds his power. Get the 3 stones from each wing and the champion will rise. Let's get down to business and tackle the first serious dungeon of the area. I can definitely tell that my equipment is a bit underleveled as I get overwhelmed with hordes of skeletons and I actually have to break some boxes to find some health pots around. As we were introduced earlier, this place will require some lantern work. We can pick them up and use them to press buttons, grab them with the hook and attach them to statues to generate lasers that open doors. We get the first animus stone and bring it back to the altar. This unlocks wing number 2. We've got more difficult lantern puzzles here. I really love this place. The difficulty was just right and the puzzles were super clever. Before we can put our hands on the second animus stone, we need to do some fighting, but nothing too serious. Backtrack to the altar, the last wing is open, and we first need to get rid of some skeletal champions. Lots of fighting here, and we get to the stone quickly. Time to awaken the champion. The name's Nasher, and it's a giant worm. Run away when he's underground, then grab his eye when he comes out. He'll then get into phase 2 and take the form of a construct. He hits hard, and the strategy here is to beat him up until he fires his blue breath. During that window, you need to grab his eye, or else he will regen his health and you'll have to do it all over again. He briefly gets back into worm form, just repeat until he falls. We receive proof that the deed is done, and fast travel back to the Eternal Throne. The Chancellor grants us access, and we enter the throne room. We ask the way to the Well of Souls. He agrees, but in exchange of finding his 3 dead lords and wake them up. As you can tell, we need to do many things 3 times in this game. He even gifts us our next power, Interdiction, to bend the lords to our will. We ride to the First Lord's place, Phariseer's Tomb. Here comes a series of straightforward puzzles without much to say about, and an elevator that we can use to go from floors 1 through 4. This place was a bit confusing, but we managed to reach the final room. We interrupt Phariseer's slumber and get to fight him for that. He must be sleepy still because it's the easiest boss fight so far. He agrees to follow Death after our victory, and we can now summon him if we have a summoning circle around. They are supposed to assist you in battle, but they won't do much. Their main purpose is to stand on pressure plates and open doors and stuff during puzzles. I go back to a chest room that I couldn't access before and trigger all the enemies at once. Tough fight. Tomb number 2, Judicator's Tomb. As you probably could have guessed, every single puzzle around here is revolving around the new summon mechanic, and I didn't really particularly enjoy it. It's not too complicated though, it's just that Phariseer is very slow. We meet the second lord, but he refuses to join us, except if we bring him Lost Souls. Can you guess how many? That's right! 3. More puzzles, some parkour, and cool arena-style battles. We even get a cool boss battle where we need to shoot the hanging skeleton while getting rid of the hordes he throws at us, before turning into a bone giant. We see to bring back the Lost Souls and bring Judicator along. The last lord appears behind Death, and he challenges us to go to the Gilded Arena, where we need to ask of the Psychamiron. We visit our skeleton statue friends again, and let them know of my quest. They open up a rift, and Death jumps with no hesitation. To progress in this dungeon, we now have to summon 2 lords. I wasn't a huge fan of the mechanic, and adding another follower to the equation is a bit of a pain. This place is confusing with a ton of locked doors. We're going to do a lot of moving lords around. At the end of the dungeon, we reunite with the 3rd lord, Basilius. Amazing boss fight. He sometimes climbs on his giant pet spider and is extremely fast, but just like the other 2, he yields to our strength and agrees to ride with death. Okay, now that the 3 lords are back, let's summon them at the Eternal Throne. The king just kills them, and Death is pissed, feeling like he's being toyed with. That doesn't really matter anyway, because the king, true to his word, points to someone who can guide us to the Well of Souls by sending us to the City of the Dead. Before that though, he says we need to face our demons and gives us the Soul Splitter skill. But I'll get back to that. In the City of the Dead, past lives are cleansed to pass through the well and be reborn. But not many souls manage to survive the trip. Okay, Soul Splitter skill. Basically, you turn into a Reaper statue and split in 2. During that time, you can switch between both purple and green death. It's somewhat similar to the summon power we had in the last level, except that we're going to do everything ourselves. The City of the Dead is huge and requires to use our new skill to get by. A bit difficult at first, we get the hang of it pretty fast once we figure out what the game wants us to do with the flying chariot. It becomes a co-op puzzle game with yourself, and it's actually a lot of fun, even though my brain started to hurt once or twice around here. One thing that I thought was lame is the fact that I'm getting tired of the whole setting. Even though I really like this aesthetic, I need to see something else than grey, bones, and gothic churches. I got stuck on a puzzle for a while, but managed to make it to the final battle, which comes in waves until we finally reach a Tormentor. Then 2 and 3 actually. Time for one of my favorite moments in the whole game. A chase sequence where we have to hurry and climb up before the platform catches up to Death. But we're not done with fighting yet. After many brain teasers, we get to release some steam. We make it to the last wing of the city. I warned you, this place never ends. Basically, there's a giant laser in the center of the main hall, and we have to figure out how to bring it down 1 level. Lots of fighting, lots of puzzles, lots of parkour, the whole package. I spare you the details, let's just skip right to the boss. The hardest boss, the Wailing Host. First, he throws punches with his giant hands and also sweeps the arena with them. You can damage him by attacking the hands, but boy does this guy have a lot of HP. Sometimes he falls down and we can reach his face. From time to time, he dives into his pool of dark energy and summons skeleton adds. Oh, and the skeletons never stop coming once he does it once. I had to retry a few times to best him. The arms were really difficult to dodge. Anyway, we finally get rid of him and we can go on and meet the one who will guide us to the Well of Souls. It's our old friend from the tutorial, the Crowfather. He tells us that in order to enter the well, we need a key, and to make the key, we need both halves. Angels keep one and demons the other. The Crowfather points us back to the tree, but first lets us know about Absalom. He's alive, and his rage and agony change him forever as corruption itself. Apparently by getting rid of the Wailing Host, I've freed the souls of humanity. Now I just have to make it to the well and free it from corruption. But in order to save mankind and his brother, Death will have to sacrifice the souls of the Nephilim he carries with him. We rush back at the root of the Tree of Death and find the Crowfather there. He points us to the first portal towards Lostlight, an angel outpost far beyond the gates of heaven. The Crowfather explains that the Well of Souls was kept from the Rider's knowledge to make sure the Nephilim remained dead, because from their blade they wrought chaos, and from that was born corruption. We ride through Lostlight, and we see that something or someone is following us, watching us. But we need to keep going and make it to the Crystal Spire, where we get ambushed by corrupted angels. As their number grow, I get help from the skies. We finish them off and get introduced to Nathaniel, a former Hellguard who fought the Nephilim besides Death at the gates of Eden. Apparently, we saved his life. He was sent by Abaddon to guard the light and the Archon, his master. The Archon can definitely help us with the key, so we should go talk to him at the top of his spire. His name is Lucien, and he's the head of the Scriptorium. The Scriptorium are angels who record everything that Lucien sees when he peers into the shadow, and their records are kept in the Ivory Citadel, lost beyond the mists. Nathaniel also works as a merchant for convenience. Up the spire we go. We got some more corrupted angels and a couple soul splitter puzzles before we reach the top. Lucien says he knows why we're here, the key. Unfortunately, he has guarded the key for centuries and won't just hand it out. He says corruption spreads in their city. He's the last one who remains pure. After the seals were broken and Hell's Legion loosed up upon the earth, many divine relics were lost. Among them, the Rod of Araphel could reverse what has happened here. The Archon doesn't dare to retrieve it himself, because the gates of the White City are closed to any angel who visits Earth. If we get that rod for him, he'll clear a path into his citadel, in which we'll find the key. Well, time for a little trip to good old Earth, I guess. The weather is charming, but not as much as the inhabitants. We arrive at the same time as Uriel and her Hellguards, here to brawl with the swarm. Death helps because he's a good guy, and we ask Uriel about the Rod of Arafel. She says it's a weapon of immense power, brought to Earth by the Archon Hestus to battle the demons, but Hestus fell. The rod was shattered, and the Destroyer uses its pieces to fuel his army of darkness. Death decides to gather the pieces and reforge the rod. Uriel says the parts are in the hands of the suffering, beasts who feed upon the dead of this world and twist them into a swarm of flesh and bone who fight as one mind. Before we keep going, I just want to clarify that these events happen before War's quest to hunt the Chosen from Darksiders. Uriel gives Death a gun, Salvation, which will basically constitute the main mechanic of this level, and tasks us to grant a swift death to the tormented angels we see on the path to the rod. Phew. Okay, that was a lot of lore and talking. I hope everything was clear. It's now time for some action. The game turns into a TPS while we hold on to Salvation. We can quick fire shotgun style, or blast the ground at our feet to get rid of overwhelming enemies. We progress into the ruins of a big city, and it's a nice callback to the first game. Anyway, there's not much to say about this place except that it's a lot of fun. We also get a chance to try the demon version of the gun, just like in Darksiders 1, the Gore Hammer, that lets us fire explosive before detonating them. It will take under an hour to hunt the suffering and collect all 3 parts of the rod. The last battle on the bridge is very epic. The rod is complete and Death's job here is done. We bid farewell to Uriel, who is tempted to use the weapon here, but knows it's too risky because it might fall into the Destroyer's hands again. As we get back to the Crystal Spire, we get another crash, but still eventually make it. We give the rod back to the Archon, who now looks even more like a WoW priest. And true to his word, we can now reach the Citadel. I mean, almost. We still need wings. Before we go, Lucien advised we seek the Scribe Most Ancient. He can help us with our quest. And just like that, we make it to the Ivory Citadel. This dungeon introduces the mechanic of a deadly black corruption goo that needs to be purified with a light orb to go away. Simply connect a charged orb with an inactive one to do so. Death realizes displaced waters are all corrupted and we need to go around the place and purify them. We see that thing that was following me in Lostlight and start exploring the East Wing. We got some cool Soul Splitter puzzles and some cool fights with the angels, but as we find a new tool, I get flashbacks from the Black Throne and get my hands on the Void Walker. This was my most hated mechanic from the first game, and I'm not happy to see it again. It works exactly the same, just like in the game Portal. Enter from one end and get out by the other. You can also charge a portal to get launched on the way out. Oh well, these first puzzles are pretty straightforward, but my brain already hurts knowing I'll have to combine this with some soul splitting. I randomly find the Angel of Death armor hidden behind a structure, but I have to wait a level before I can equip it. We open up a portal next to an orb to make the light go through before launching our soul statue into a portal. That lets us purify the water on this side, and we get back to the main hall by following the aqueduct. Now the western wing. This one is a bit more tricky, and we get a couple difficult fights. Okay, and then we arrive at what I call the most difficult puzzle in the game, that requires soul splitting and portals inside portals. Took me a while, but thank God it's over for now. We can finally purify the waters and get back to the main hall. This last wing consists of simple portal jumps. And finally, I get to face these guys who have been watching me for a while. They teleport and use thunder AoEs. Very slippery. Then we get to another confusing soul splitting plus portals inside portals puzzle. Thankfully it's not that bad later on. All the waters have been purified. Death can now cross and reach the library. Jamaera the Scribe was waiting for us. I really like his design. Look at him with his tiny wings. This boss relies pretty much only on the portals, with the very unoriginal mechanic of standing in front of a portal, waiting for him to shoot, move, and watch him hurt himself. He will spawn some ads as we do this a couple more times. As he only has a tiny bit of health left, he flies up and the game very subtly hints at the portal at the center of the room. Watch him laser himself and beg for mercy. Jamaera tells us that the Archon is actually corrupted by the pools, and corruption spread for him as he turned this city into a slaughterhouse while professing his own purity. The Archon then fled to the Crystal Spire with the key. Death is speechless. And we hurry back there to have a word with Mr. Manipulator. We confront the Archon. He says he just did what he had to and finally shows his true colors. This is a pretty cool fight. The Archon starts on the ground and throws classic boss fight stuff at Death. He also flies up and inflicts big AoE damage by coming back down. When in the air, he might also spam the range attack button, but it's easy enough to dodge. It can get frustrating because he sometimes keeps spamming projectiles like 4 times in a row. Thank God, Death cuts his wings before getting into phase 2. From now, it's all about knowing when to stop hitting and take a step back. Get greedy and you'll lose for sure. The Archon will grow demonic wings for phase 3, and rush at us full speed from time to time. The fight itself is actually quite easy if you don't greed and stay careful not to get hit. Death Reaper form lands the last hit and the Archon falls to his demise. Back in the Kingdom of the Dead, we tell the Crowfather that we got the Angel Key. Let's get the other half, I guess. So we head straight into Shadow's Edge. It's a big demon fortress called the Blackstone that's actually a reflection of the Crystal Spire. This place looks absolutely fantastic. I'm loving the atmosphere, it's very creepy and sinister while remaining cool. We find our old goat friend Ostegoth in there for some reason, and he tells us that he who holds the key is none other than Samael himself. He also warns us about a mad queen named Lilith who still clings to rule. Oh, and of course this place hasn't escaped corruption. It's literally everywhere. It's not even been a minute inside the Blackstone and Lilith already shows up. She pretends to be Death's mother since she created Absalom, the first Nephilim, from mingled dust of angel and demon. She wonders about why Death spared the souls of the Nephilim and says Samael holds the key, but he's gone and the key has vanished with him. Thankfully, Lilith grants us the power of time itself to return to the past before the stronghold fell to find the demon key. In exchange, she asks we resurrect the Nephilim once we reach the Well of Souls, but Death doesn't say anything. The Phase Walker is basically an upgrade of the Void Walker to allow time travel. Indeed it works, and we'll have to switch between eras to progress through this final dungeon. Lots of fighting here, with tough demons, lots of climbing too. There are a couple brain teasers, but nothing too bad. For example, we split and play some volleyball with ourselves in order to blow stuff up. Let's just say this place focuses on fighting. And just like that, it looks like we've made it to Samael's throne. He knows that we're from the future, and that no one knows Death is here. The tension rises real quick, and after a few taunts from each side, the fight begins. Samael is fast. In fact, he basically teleports and does AoE, just dodge at the right time. He then backs up to his throne and throws fireballs that oppose no threat. He does that a couple of times, then, around 60% HP, we can run towards the front of the throne room. We get a sneaky QTE, then our foe decides to go all in, with electric beams and all. From time to time, there are going to be targets on the ground. Don't slack in there. This fight is extremely epic. We both are moving fast and the whole thing is super cinematic. Of course, we don't actually kill him, but after our fight, he agrees to give me the key. Interested in seeing what I'll do next, then teleports out. With both keys in my possession, I get back to the Tree of Death. The Crowfather warns us about the well being corrupted too, and its champion is in there waiting for us. Inside the well, we don't lose any time and face off against the Avatar of Chaos right away.
Have you ever wondered, Death, why you are untouched, while those around you wither and rot in the grip of corruption? Could it be that you are already blackened by the sin of betrayal? How can you defeat that which seethes in your own heart? You cannot stop me without forever damning your soul! Then so be it.
Absalom is an opponent worthy of a last boss, and this one will take strategy over strength actually. He has an enormous HP pool, one mistake and it's over. I figured the best way to deal with him is to stay far and wait for his jump. Dodge, grab, hit, and fall back. Phase 2 is pretty much the same, except that he will throw tentacles underground to catch Death. You can't avoid it, so stay far, that way you have time to spam the button to escape. If Absalom reaches you, it will hurt a lot, so yeah, stay far away and keep on waiting for his jump to attack. He also throws projectiles, but these aren't so difficult to dodge. Keep in mind this will take a while, so patience, don't greed and everything will be fine. Death finishes his old friend and refuses the handshake.
Take my hand once more, brother.
I've killed Absalom. Stopped the corruption. I stand at last at the Well of Souls, with no idea what I must do next.
It is quite simple, and yet most difficult.
I'm in no humor for riddles, Crowfather.
You may tap the power of the well to return the kingdom of man, or you may resurrect the Nephilim. But know that choosing one will forever doom the other.
My brother War. I would protect him above all.
To return man to the earth will require a sacrifice. Thus from death came life, and the seeds of humanity will be sown. But death's journey was not ended. On the shattered earth, his brother War had slain the destroyer.
You will be hunted. The White City for certain, the Council, and there will be others. You would wage this war alone?
No. Not alone.
War had broken the seventh seal, summoning the horsemen of the apocalypse. And the number of the riders shall ever be 4.
And just like that, we're back at the Darksiders 1 end cutscene, and we're done with the second game. I'm not going to talk about the DLC here, but who knows, maybe in a different video. Just like the first game, this was a blast to play, and I'm so happy that I have decided to look it up. I'm probably going to keep going with the next entries of the series. I need to know what happens next. So subscribe if you haven't already to not miss it when it comes out. Anyway, I think the video is long enough already, so I'm going to end it here. Thanks for all the support on the first episode. I hope this one was just as enjoyable. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and this time you won't have to wait 6 months. Okay, bye!